Are you ready to break free from hesitation, self-doubt, and isolation? Do you want to lead with confidence, build powerful connections, and live boldly? I'm Corey Baum, and I'm here to share the most impactful strategies and mindsets that I've learned through coaching, leadership, and real-world experience. Together, we'll forge unshakable confidence, master social dynamics, and create a life rooted in purpose, brotherhood, and bold action. Inside, you'll get the tools and insights to become the strongest, most connected version of yourself. Let's dive in. What's up, men? So when I think about goal setting, there was a long stretch in my life where my goals weren't really mine, right? They looked good on paper. They were the kind of things that people nod their heads at when you tell them that you're working towards, right? Sometimes they were just the like nice to haves, and I things that I thought would make my life better, right? And at other times they were the kind of goals that you're supposed to want, because that's what everyone else seems to be chasing, right? And for a while, I told myself that meant that I was on the right track, that if I achieved these things, then I must be doing well in life. But deep down, I could never really get behind them for the long haul, right? Because they didn't light me up. They didn't connect to anything that I was really, truly passionate about. They were just there, right? And when the excitement wore off, and it always did, I'd move on to the next thing. So it wasn't until I got serious about creating a clear vision for my life and identifying my core values that things really started to shift. Once I knew what was actually important to me in my life, what I wanted my life to stand for, that my goals really changed, right? They became more than just a list of accomplishments. They were extensions of my values, right? They were milestones that connected directly to the kind of man that I wanted to become. And when your goals are that aligned, they have a different weight. Right? You stop chasing them to prove something to the world, and you start pursuing them because they actually matter to you. And that's when goals stopped being a to-do list for me, and they started becoming a path. So today's episode is about setting and achieving goals that actually matter, right? Goals that light you up, that keep you focused and pull you forward even when the work gets hard. Because here's the truth. Most men are chasing goals that they didn't even choose for themselves, right? They're chasing what they think they're supposed to want. You know, the money, the status, the next big milestone. And maybe they hit those targets, but deep down, they still feel restless or disconnected or unsatisfied. And that's the cost of chasing goals that aren't aligned with your vision or your values. You can spend years working hard and end up somewhere that you never really wanted to be. So the shift is this: when you build your goals on a foundation of who it is that you want to become and what you stand for, they stop being just tasks to check off. They become meaningful markers on the path to life that you actually want to live. So in this episode, we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about what makes a goal truly meaningful. We're going to talk about how to set goals that align with your values and your vision. How to make them actionable so that you can start moving today, and how to stay committed when obstacles hit. Because the right goals don't just get you results. They shape you into the man that you're becoming. So when it comes to setting goals, most men start with the what, right? I want to make more money. I want to get in shape. I want to spend more time with my family. But here's the thing: until you know why that goal matters to you, it's just another line on a piece of paper. So I learned the hard way that the goals that stick are the ones that I tied to my vision and my values. When I set a goal that's aligned with the kind of man that I want to become, I feel pulled toward it, right? It has a certain weight. It doesn't just look good on paper. It actually means something to me. And when a goal means something, it's a lot harder to quit when things get uncomfortable. So before you start thinking about how to hit your target, I want you to ask yourself, right? Why does this matter? And don't settle for the first answer that comes to mind, right? Keep digging in until you hit something that really stirs you, right? Something that you'd still care about if nobody else knew that you were working on it. So once you've got that clarity, the next step is making sure that the goal isn't just meaningful, that it's clear enough to act on. Because vague goals kill momentum, all right? I want to get in shape. Okay, well, why do you want to get in shape? Like what does in shape look like for you, right? Or I want to grow my business. Might sound fine, but they're too fuzzy to actually create a plan around. You need to know exactly what it is that you're aiming for and how it is that you'll know that you're making progress along the way. And that's where the SMART framework comes in, right? The setting goals that are specific, they're measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, right? If you can't define the goal clearly enough to check those boxes, then you don't have a goal. You just have a wish, right? And wishes don't get you out of bed at 5 a.m. to train or keep you showing up when the client calls aren't going your way, right? But here's another reality check. Even the clearest, most meaningful goals will hit resistance along the way. Right? Setbacks, distractions, lack of motivation. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the thing is that most guys don't plan for that, right? So when it happens, they think it's a sign that they should quit. But it's not. It's actually part of the process, right? And that's why I always tell the men that I work with, right? One of the things that we always do during coaching is not only figuring out the actions that it is that we want to take, but we actually explore things that are going to come up along the way that are going to stop them from moving forward, right? Because if you know, for instance, that time will be a challenge along the way, figuring out where it is that time is going to come from before it's an issue, right? If you know that fear of failure is going to creep in for you at some point, then write down how it is that you'll handle it when it does, right? The more that you plan for the hard moments, the less power that they have over you when they come up. So in all of this, the clarity, the structure, the planning, it all comes back to your why, right? And that's the anchor here that I want you to see. If your why is strong enough, then you'll push past the plateaus. But if it's weak, you'll bail the moment the life gets inconvenient, right? So if you take nothing else from this episode, take this. Make your goals personal. Make them absolutely crystal clear. No questions about it, about what they are. And expect the roadblocks because they will come up. And keep your why front and center the entire time. Because the right goals don't just get you results. They turn you into the man that can hold them once they actually arrive. So I want you to think about your goals that you've got right now, right? Big or small. How many of them are actually yours, right? Not what you think that you should want, not what your friends are chasing or not what looks good online, but yours, right? Ones that would matter to you even if nobody else knew that you were working toward them. Now, if you're being honest, how clear are they? Right? Could you explain them to someone in a way that they'd know exactly what it is that you're aiming for? Right? And when it is that you'll get there, how it is that what success looks like? Or are they still a little fuzzy, living in that like sort of someday category where they're safe, right? But they're never really moving forward. Picture this, right? That you set a goal and you're fired up, and then life happens, right? Because that happens to all of us. You get busy, you lose steam, something throws you off course. Do you know what your first move would be in that moment? Or do you usually wait until the dust settles and just hope that you feel motivated again? Right? And here's the big one. Why does the goal matter in the first place? Right? Not the surface reason, not, I want to be healthier, right? Or I want to make more money. I'm talking about the real reason underneath, the one that ties back to the kind of man that you want to be, because that's what's going to keep you moving when the newness of it all wears off. And finally, I want you to ask yourself, if I committed to just one goal right now, one that truly matters to me, and I gave it my full attention for the next 90 days, what would change in your life? Right? How would you feel about yourself if you followed through? And what would that say about the kind of man that you're becoming? Let those questions sit with you. They're not about giving you more to think about. They're about showing you where the fire really is. So here's the shift that I want you to make for yourself. Goals aren't just a checklist of things to accomplish. They're a training ground for the man that you're becoming. Because when you set goals that are aligned with your vision and values, every step that you take toward them shapes your identity. It's not just about hitting the finish line. It's about proving to yourself that you can stay committed, right? That you can work with intention and show up even when it's inconvenient. And when you choose goals that aren't aligned, you might still win, right? But the victory feels hollow, right? You've checked the box, but you haven't actually grown into the man that you want to be. So here's your challenge. Pick one goal, just one, that's deeply connected to your vision and your values. And make it clear enough that you know exactly what success looks like and when it'll happen. Then anticipate at least one obstacle that's going to show up along the way and decide right now how it is that you'll respond when it does. Because this is how you build momentum. Not trying to do everything at once, but by choosing one thing that matters and showing yourself that you can finish it. And when you do that, when you follow through on something that's truly yours, you start rewriting the story that you've been telling yourself about what you can and can't do. And that is the real win. So if this episode stirred something in you, if you're tired of chasing goals that don't actually light you up, or you've been stuck in the cycle of starting strong and fading out, this is exactly the work that I do with men every day. We strip away the noise, we get clear on what truly matters to you, and we build the kind of plan that you can actually follow through on. Not because you're trying to prove something to the world, but because it's the life that you actually want to live. And if you're ready to get that kind of clarity, book a free discovery call with me at www.evolvemenproject.com. No pressure, just a real conversation about where you are, where you want to go, and how to get there in a way that's aligned with who you are. And if this episode hit home, share it with someone who needs it. Follow the show, leave a 5-star review, and let's keep helping more men build lives that mean something, one goal at a time. So here's what I want you to take away from this show today. The goals that you choose are shaping you, whether you realize it or not. If you pick them based on what others expect, you may still hit them, sure, but you won't feel fulfilled. If you choose them based on your vision and your values, though, every step that you take becomes a step toward the man that you want to become. So don't just set goals for the sake of achieving something, right? Set them to build something, right? To build your life, your character, your sense of self-trust. Pick one goal that matters. Make it clear, plan for the obstacles, and follow through. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it on the other side. Thanks for listening to the Evolved Men podcast. Lead with intention, choose goals that matter, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Evolved Men podcast. If today's episode challenged you, inspired you, or gave you something to think about, don't stop here. Keep building, keep evolving. Head over to www.evolvedmenproject.com where you'll find free resources on confidence, leadership, relationships, communication, and personal power. Everything you need to start applying what you've learned here and take your growth to the next level. The tools are there. The next move is yours. Until the next time, men, stay strong, lead powerfully, and live boldly.